Have you seen the Epstein files?
I have not reviewed the entirety of it myself, but a good amount.
Would it be fair to say that Mr. Epstein trafficked young women, including, in some instances, minors, for sex to himself?
That was specifically the allegations in the 2018 indictment in the Southern District of New York.
Okay. Who else did he traffic these young women to?
In terms of what the investigation, again, going back to 2008, Mr. Acosta, who limited the investigation and limited the search warrants and limited the parameters of the investigation, the only thing we are able to speak to publicly, because he was given a non-prosecution agreement by Mr. Acosta, is that first time period from, I believe, don't quote me on this, 97 to 2001-ish. And then when the Trump administration courageously reopened it.
Excuse me for interrupting, but I'm going to run out of time. You've seen most of the files. Who, if anyone, did Epstein traffic these young women to besides himself?
Himself. There is no credible information. None. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday that he trafficked to other individuals. And the information we have, again, is limited.
So the answer is no one?
For the information that we have.
In the files?
In the case file.
Okay. Now, President Trump has deferred to the FBI and the Department of Justice with respect to the Epstein records. He says it is your call about releasing them. And I understand that the department and the agency have decided to release them in cooperation with the House committee. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So you're releasing them a little bit at a time. Is that correct?
We're releasing as much as we can, but we are limited by 3 different court orders. And the department went back to each of those judges to waive those court orders or have them lifted, and each of those judges declined.
Will you release all of them, or at least as many as you can?
We will release everything we are legally permitted to do so. We are continuing to work with the House on the subpoena request. We have substantially complied with it, but we will continue to release whatever we are legally permitted to do so.
Okay. I strongly encourage you to do that, Kash. This issue's not going to go away. And I think the central question for the American people is this. They know that Epstein trafficked young women for sex to himself. They want to know who, if anyone else, he trafficked these young women to. And that's a very fair question. I want to know that answer. And I think you're going to have to do more to satisfy the American people's understanding.
Kennedy leaned in again, and I could tell he was speaking not just for himself, but for public sentiment. He made it clear this issue isn't going away. People already believe they know part of the story, that Epstein trafficked young women. What they want to know now is whether anyone else was involved. And honestly, sitting there, I felt that too, that lingering question that hasn't been fully answered. Patel responded in a way that shifted the conversation backward in time. He pointed to previous administrations, specifically those of Barack Obama and Joe Biden, noting that the same case files existed back then and weren't released either. Then he went even further back, to the origins of the investigation itself. According to Patel, early decisions, especially the limited scope of search warrants and the controversial non-prosecution agreement, essentially restricted what later investigators could do. From the way he explained it, those early constraints shaped everything that followed, limiting how far the case could expand. He did acknowledge something important, though. He wasn't saying others weren't involved. What he was saying is that, based on the credible evidence currently available, there's nothing they can prosecute. And without that, the FBI won't release names or details, especially when it comes to protecting victims and avoiding unverified claims.
Mr. Chairman, may I just respond to that? I agree, Senator. And what we have done, and just to remind folks, the Epstein case files existed in the 2 prior administrations, in the Obama administration and the Biden administration, and they didn't release anything. And there was President Trump in the first administration that renewed charges against Mr. Epstein. And I know it's a little complicated to understand, But what exists in the Epstein case files was a direct result of the limited search warrants from 2006 and 7, which hamstrung future investigations because of the non-prosecution agreement. And multiple administrations had the opportunity to look at the entirety of that case file and recommend prosecutions against anyone that was trafficked under Mr. Epstein and anyone that participated in that trafficking. And the only person to bring charges was the prior administration against Mr. Epstein. Now, I am not saying that others were not trafficked and others were not involved. What I am telling you is that based on the information we have, and we have continuously and publicly asked for the public to come forward with more information. If there is, we'll look at it. But based on credible information, we have released all credible information, and the information that the Department of Justice and the FBI never releases is information on investigations that are not credible. And we don't release the names of victims who weren't credible, but in the same time, we don't release the names of victims who were credible. And so that's by law. And so the information we are releasing now is historic, and it is also to the maximum capacity that the law allows. And I know that's not going to satisfy many, many, many people. But if they wanted it done right, then the investigation from its origination should have been done right, and he should not have been given a get-out-of-jail-free card to do jail on the weekends for 12 hours a day, and he should have been investigated fully for the entirety of his crime and criminal enterprise, not just from 1997 to 2001.
Senator Blumenthal.
Thank you, Mr. Patel.
Patel also emphasized that they repeatedly asked the public to come forward with new information, insisting that if credible evidence emerges, they'll act on it. But until then, what's being released now is, in his words, both historic and legally limited. And then came a moment that stuck with me. He basically said, if people wanted a different outcome, the investigation should have been done right from the beginning. He pointed to how Epstein was allowed a lenient deal years ago, suggesting that decision may have prevented a deeper, more complete case from ever being built. As the exchange wrapped up, the tone stayed controlled, but the weight of the issue didn't lift. Kennedy made it clear the public wants answers. Patel made it clear he believes is given all the answers the evidence allows. And sitting there, I couldn't shake the feeling that those two things don't quite meet in the middle.